بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Okay, so in the last lecture we have introduced the concept of inheritance, and it's almost done. But today I'm going to make another example that shows more characteristics of inheritance, in particular what we call indirect inheritance. So first of all, let me summarize what we've done last time. So in the beginning we did a commission employee class, and then we built a base plus commission employee without using inheritance, and we have seen that there is a lot of redundancy. Okay, and because all these attributes like first name, last name, social security number, gross sales, and commission rate are exactly the same as in the commission employee. So we were discussing ways on how to reuse the class commission employee in order to build the class base plus commission employee. In the beginning we were thinking about using composition, and it turns out that composition is not effective in this way because of the meaning of composition has a relationship. So we cannot say that base plus commission employee has a commission employee, but it's better to say that a base plus commission employee is a commission employee. So the second type of relationship is called the is-a relationship, and this is what we call inheritance. And for inheritance we use the keyword extends. So the keyword extends in Java, it is used in order to implement inheritance between two classes. So here in this case, base plus commission employee is more specific, and it extends something more generic, that is the commission employee. Okay, every time we try to start building our application from the general class until the specific class. And today, through the second example, you will see this even more clearly. So you can see with inheritance we have saved a lot of code. We need only to define the specific attribute of the subclass. So we have a subclass and a superclass. Superclass is commission employee and subclass is base plus commission employee. And here we add only the base salary, and all other attributes are inherited. Okay, they are inherited in base plus commission employee. And then we have to start with the calling the superclass constructor and making set that get methods. And finally we have also overridden two methods that must be changed, the earning method and the toString method. Everything is clear until now? Okay, so you remember we did the summary about the inheritance, and the name of the relationship is called is-a relationship. These are the most important things that you have to know. We have also talked about the protected access specifier. So basically when we use a private, it's impossible to access the attributes even in the subclass. مثلا لو فرضنا نحب نسوي first name, okay, it's not accessible. حتى ولو تسوي super.first name, it's not accessible. Or this.first name, it's not accessible. Why? Because first name is defined in the superclass and it's private. So it's not possible to access the first name from the subclass even, because private is very strong. Public is very weak, everybody can access. So we can have something in between that is called protected. Okay, and protected will give us access here. I can access first name attribute. Okay, so protected, it's an access specifier that is in the middle between public and private. It is accessible to subclasses and to the classes inside the same package. Okay, so this is the rule. But basically, we need always to keep using private here, okay, as the common practice, unless it is otherwise specified. Okay, always we use data hiding at the maximum level, unless we need to use protected in some of the cases. Okay. So now I'm going to start another example of class shape, of class hierarchy shape. So let's look at this example here. So you can understand that we have here what we call inheritance hierarchy, okay, starting from the top level shape, which is very general, and then we can go to more specific shapes that are circle, square, triangle, sphere, cube, and so on. And you can see here we have an intermediate level. So because the shape, it can be of two different types. It can be two-dimensional shape and it can be three-dimensional shape. يا إما ثنائي الأبعاد أو ثلاثي الأبعاد. وتحت ثنائي الأبعاد two-dimensional shape we can have circle, we can have square, we can have rectangle, we can have triangle, and so on. So we're going to use this class hierarchy in order to build our classes. واضح? So now the first question, from which class I must start with? shape. هل يمكن مثلا نبدا بالسيركل وبعد نسوي اللي من بعد؟ دائما نبدا من فوق. We start from the top and you go to the lower level. Okay? So this is what we call programming from the generic to the more specific. Okay? هذه القاعدة في الانهيرتنس. أول شيء I start with general classes. لأن فيهم common attributes. I need these common attributes to define something more specific and then to define something more specific and so on. So class shape here, for example, now we have the class shape. So class shape can be characterized by what? So class shape, for example, if we say length and width, it's like okay, this applies to rectangle, but probably doesn't apply to circle, doesn't apply to cube, for example. Okay? No, area is a consequence. So if you define the dimension, in this case, you can calculate the area. But if you have the area, you don't know what kind of shape. Okay, so shape is something very general here. I cannot say length or width or radius or whatever. I'm just going to give a name for a shape. Let's say every shape will have a name. Okay, this is the general rule. Now, if we go to two-dimensional shape. So now we are designing our class. وهذا مهم جدا. And if you go for software project, the most important thing is to design your classes, then you go for implementation. Okay? Otherwise, it's going to be very messy and you don't know how to handle them. So we must start from the most generic and ask ourselves, okay, what are the general attributes here? And then we go to the more specific. Two-dimensional shape is characterized by what? So it will have a name because it's going to extend shape, but also, let's say it's going to have two dimensions. Usually two-dimensional shape, it will have two dimensions. Dimension 1 and dimension 2. So let me call x as dimension 1 and y as dimension 2. متفقين? Okay. And for three-dimensional shape, we're going to have how many dimensions? X, Y, and Z. And then, this is the second level. I can go to the third level. For example, I want to define a rectangle. In this case, it's characterized by what? Width and length. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to use X, for example, as a length, and Y for width. And الآن مش هستعمل inheritance. Okay, I will do the same for example, circle. Okay, circle now, for example, in this particular case, it has what? It has radius. So what to do here? مثلا I will take X as a radius and I will ignore Y. ولا العكس. Okay, since I have two dimensions here, I will say, for example, X will be the radius and Y, it's okay, it's something more. I will not use it. So we will use this way now in order to implement the different classes. Is the design clear? Okay, we're going to now for Java in order to do so. So let's start with the class shape. Class shape. Yes, what does it have? Okay, so we're going to have here private string name. So we all agree that name is something common for all shapes. We cannot define any other thing here. So now we have to do what? Constructor, public shape, string name, set name, and then I have to define public void set name string name. this dot name is equal to name. ممتاز. And then public string get name and return name. So before I forget, inshallah, next Sunday you're gonna have your first quiz. Okay? I will send you more details by email. And then we have to do public string to string method. Okay, and then return. Okay, string.format here. Let's say I'm going to write shape %s only. Okay, I will create a shape. We can do now, for example, class test, shape test here. Public static void main string args. I can create a class shape as shape equal a new shape. Okay, and then I can print shape. Okay, here I have to put name. Okay, very simple. So now we have finished with the base class or the superclass in the inheritance hierarchy. Now we go for the next ones. What's the next one? Two-dimensional shape. Okay, in two-dimensional shape, what we have to do? لا قبل مش نستعمل inheritance. واضح؟ أول شيء مش نستعمل inheritance. We're going to use inheritance here, and then we will define what? X and private double Y. And these are more specific now. These are more specific. Okay. Of course, here we have compilation error because we need to do what? I need to do a constructor to the shape. And what I should put here in the constructor? String name. أول شيء اللي جاي. So from where name it comes? From the superclass. Okay, and then I have double X here and double Y here. And then أول شيء what you have to do? Super. Okay, first thing that you have to do in the constructor of the subclass is to call the constructor of the superclass. وإلا يسوي لك compilation error. خذها قاعدة. Okay, so super إيش؟ Name because here our constructor it has one argument. Okay, this is why we call the same argument, and then we will use set x and then y. Then I have to define set and get method. Okay, so public void set x double x. This dot x equal, okay, so here I can do if x must be greater than 0, I can do this dot x is equal to x, else throw new illegal argument exception. Okay, x must be greater than 0. واضح؟ semicolon here, else throw, okay, semicolon here. You have to do the same for y. Are you following?
Yes.
Okay, so if y greater than 0, y must be greater than 0. And then we have to do public double get x, get x here, return x, and we'll have to do the same for y. Okay. Of course, here I can do another toString method, but I don't have something in mind for now to do specifically for this. Okay, it's still a shape. We can do is two-dimensional shape or something. It's not a problem. So I'm going to skip the toString method here. So now we will do the same for three-dimensional shape. Okay, I will define 3D shape. And basically it's going to be similar to this one, because now it's going to extend shape. So it's possible that we extend two-dimensional shape as well. يعني حتى three-dimensional shape is going to have x and y. صح ولا لا؟ Okay, لكن على حسب according to this diagram it inherits from shape. So I'm going to do it first according to this diagram, and then we will show you how to do it if we make this arrow pointing to two-dimensional array. It's possible to have both. And the second is better. But I'm going just to follow the same class hierarchy provided here. Okay, so three-dimensional shape here, I have to add one more parameter, that is z. Okay, I have to use double z here and set and I need to define set z as well. And get as well. واضح? Okay, so you can see here, because I have used the hierarchy inheritance from shape, I had to redefine again x, y, and z. Okay, it's possible to do, for example, three-dimensional shape. So I'm going to call it 2 here. And what we can do, we can extend two-dimensional shape. واضح؟ في هذه الحالة, okay, imagine that I will copy all of this code here. Okay, because of this now, I don't need to have x and y, لأن they are going to be inherited from two-dimensional shape. واضح ولا لا؟ الآن كيف صلحوا هذه؟ أصبحت السوبر إيش؟ السوبر هي two-dimensional shape. والtwo-dimensional shape, as you can see here, it has 3 arguments, and here I'm calling a superclass constructor of 1. Okay, that's why it's wrong. So I need to do x and y, and these two delete. Okay, يصبح الكود أكثر. بالنسبة للset والy, do I need to define them again here? No, they are already defined where? In the superclass. Okay, so you can see I can save a lot of code just by doing the following. واضح؟ لكن بالنسبة للdiagram هذا it uses this one. In any case, it's going to give the same thing. ممتاز. So now we have finished from level 1, that is the most generic, level 2, intermediate, and now we go to the very specific classes like rectangle, square, and so on. So I'm going to start with the class rectangle. Yes, so let me know what to do here. What do we extend here? Shape or two-dimensional shape or three-dimensional shape? Extend what? Two-dimensional shape. متفقين? Are you sure? Not really? Okay, it's okay. Yes, so what do you have to do here? Attributes ايش؟ What I should do? Private? Double ايش؟ length؟ ايه؟ ومن بعد private double؟ Yes. ممتاز. So it's already defined. ولا ايش نسوي بها extend. Okay, so x احنا قلنا الان انه x will be length and y will be width. So I don't need to define these attributes. ولا you're going to define something redundant تصبح عندي x y في السوبر كلاس و length width في no, it doesn't work like this. واضح؟ So now the first thing I have to do is making constructor. Okay, how many parameters here? String, name, ومن بعد double. يمكن نسميها length. It's a parameter name. Okay, double width. Okay, this one you can call it length width. You can call it LM, any name because it's a parameter. Okay, but length width it is going to be more meaningful in this context for rectangle. So what I have to do here? So for what? Length, width. So x is equal to length and y is equal to width. واضح? So that's pretty much fine. This is now the class rectangle and I can come here to the test class. Now what is the problem? If I create a class rectangle here, rect equal new rectangle, okay, I will give it a name. I will choose R and let's say 12.9 and 4.3. Just a moment. لحظة هذا. Okay, so of course we have a few issues. Now, if I print rect, okay, it's going to take the toString method of shape. This is what was defined. صح ولا لا? I want something more specific for rectangle. So I need here to override public string to string and here return string.format. Okay, we will write something that contains مثلا shape %s is a rectangle ونخليه مثلا %s %point to f اللي هي length و %point to f اللي هي width. نعم. Okay. Okay. So here this dot get name. So what I will put for the length and the width. This dot get. So what do you think about this? It doesn't give too much meaning for us. صح ولا لا؟ خاصة الآن لو فرضنا نروح للتست class مثلا imagine that some user is going to use this class, he will find rect dot. He would like to find something called get width and get length. صح ولا لا؟ يعني we'll get x or get y. It's okay, something that we understand, but probably not everybody will understand that this means the width and this means the length. So we need to find a way onto providing these methods for the user. Okay, so what we can do here? I don't want to write get x and get y. I want to write get length and get width. I can define a method that is called get length, and this method what it will do? واضح ولا لا؟ اوكي في هذه الحالة أظن it makes more sense صح ولا لا؟ okay, I can do the same for get width. Okay, it's like I'm making a cover for get x and get y. نعطيه method أخرى. Okay, so here even in the class test I will have get length and get width. It makes more sense. نفس الشيء now if I want to change the value, okay, here I have set x and set y, you know, it's not very convenient, صح ولا لا? So we can do something very specific for the rectangle. Public void set length. Yes. And here we have double length. Yes. What we will do? هو المفروض أن what we will do here? We do x equal to length. صح ولا لا? But we cannot access x. We will do what? Set x equal to length. Is it clear for everybody? Are you following? واضح في الخلف؟ Clear? Okay. So I will do the same for width. That's pretty much fine. And now, if I go to my class rectangle, so I will be happy because I will have all the method that I need to manipulate a rectangle.
Doctor, does this make get x and get y redundant?
Yeah, there is kind of redundancy. I agree on this. Okay, but at least now I have something more specific for the class rectangle. Okay, because now it's difficult to find a common naming for all the different shapes. Now we will do the class circle. We will have different naming. We will have radius. We don't have length and width. واضح? Okay. But of course, you will say, okay, why we can do every class alone? That's true, but we will see later on, especially in the next chapter about polymorphism, why this kind of class hierarchy is important. Okay? Because it has even more advantages that what I have explained to you, but I cannot only explain only if we read something related to polymorphism later on. Yes?
ليش بالكلاس rectangle مثلا override تبع التو string ليش ما حطينا سوبر استعملنا سوبر؟
Yes, مش نجيبها الآن. Okay? That's a good point. So now, for example, if I take the class, I go to the class shape. Okay? I take the class shape here. And because the toString method will be inherited from shape in rectangle. Okay, and let's look. So what is this part?
Super.
So this part comes from shape, صح ولا لا? So what I can do, I can replace all of this by, okay, super dot toString. واضح? Okay, so because this part is common. Like, okay, this is not a rule, I said. You have to see whether the subclass will have something in common with the superclass, toString method. Okay, so this is all now for the class rectangle. You can see rectangle now, it implements two-dimensional, extends two-dimensional shape. We have here a constructor, get length, get width, and so on. So I can now go to the test class. I can, if I print rectangle, shape R is a rectangle, and these are the dimensions. Okay, أصبحت الآن عنده toString method that is specific for this because we have overridden the toString method that came from the shape class. Is it clear? So I can also print here dot get length only. I can get the length. Of course, behind the scenes there is X and Y. But I made another layer, okay, another layer on top of X and Y as length and width. Okay, so let's now apply this for another class. Now I'm going to use the class circle. Yes. Extends. I'm going to write what you're going to tell me, okay? Extends what? Two-dimensional shape. ممتاز. And then? Private radius. Okay, so if I do this, I'm going to define something redundant لأن عندي ال X وال Y موجودين في 2 dimensional shape. So now what I have to do? I have here only one parameter اللي هو radius. Is it X or Y or both or any or what? Any of them. Okay, so for example, let's take X as the radius and Y is something that we are not going to use. واضح? So here, so the first thing that you have to do here is what? Yeah, so the constructor, what to write in the constructor? Circle, yes. String name, yes. Then do I need to make another parameter here? No. So radius is circle is defined by name and radius. So super, yes. Name. And then only like this? Doesn't work. By why it doesn't work first? نعم. نعم, the superclass here, 2-dimensional shape, has 3 parameters. وهنا الآن we are calling a constructor with 2 parameters. لأن سوينا النيم, سوينا الX, ونسينا الY. الY, of course, we're not going to use it, but we have to assign any value. Okay? It can be 0, but we made a condition here. It must be greater than 0. It can be 1, for example, or anything greater than 0. Or it can be radius. It can be any value greater than 0. Okay, I'm going just to put radius, but although we're not going to use it. It's spelling here. نعم. ممكن لكن هنا غالبا يكون عندنا one it's possible, but usually 2 dimension it has 2. لكن now for the circle we're going to use 2 arguments only, and behind the scene we will assign just this any value. واضح? Okay. And now what we have to do? So I will create the class circle now. Equal new circle. So I can put a radius 2.3. Name. Okay. So if I put C dot, we will have the same problem. We have get X, get Y. Okay. So yeah, we have to cover. So how to cover this? Public what? Void. ممتاز. And then ممتاز. If radius greater than 0, what we do? X radius. Else throw new illegal argument exception radius must be greater than 0.
Can I put set X radius alone and that validation is on set X method?
ممكن ايه هو صح عندنا هو الآن لأنه when we raise the exception here we're going to see radius must be 0 لكن لو نخليه في الX تولي X must be greater than 0. Okay, and that's why. But of course we can just make the validation inside, and then here double yes get and then return radius. Return get
Get
x. Okay. And finally, we can do the toString method. This dot get radius. I don't need this one, and I have only one attribute here. Okay, so everything looks fine. I can now also print circle C. Okay, so let's print rectangle also as a whole. واضح? Yes.
Why don't we add an area attribute as
First of all, area is not an attribute. Area is a method. Because if we know the attribute, for example, radius, we are able to calculate the area of a circle. Okay? We can do that. For example, we want to do the area here. Okay. I'm coming to this, but first of all, is everything clear for now? Okay. So your colleagues say, why we don't make an area? We can do an area here. So where to put it? وين نخليها؟ نخليها في الشيب ولا نخليها 2 dimensional shape ولا نخليها في السيركل ولا في الريكتانجل or where؟ يمكن نخليها في الشيب. ليش ما نخليهاش في الشيب مثلا؟ ليش ما نخليهاش في 2 dimensional shape؟ لأنه it depends on the shape. This is something very important. Okay, so you will keep it in mind on how we do this effectively. Of course, for now, we don't have too many options. If we have to do an area, we have to do it in the concrete classes. But at a later stage, I will let you know how we can make the area in the more generic classes. Okay, this is a subject we are going to make it in the next chapter. But for now, of course, what we can do here, for example, in the class rectangle, I can do public double get area here, and then we have to return what? Length multiplied by get length multiplied by get width. واضح? So I can do also the same for circle. And this is math.pi multiplied by get this dot get radius multiplied by this dot pr square, right? Okay, if I want now, I can do has an area, person point to f, and I can add this dot get area here. And I can do also the same for the rectangle. Has an area, person point to f, and here I can do this dot get area as well. So now if I print, I can have also the area of any rectangle in the toString method. Now,
Doctor, the get area method is also right if we make a new definition that calculates the area and then return it instead of just returning the calculation.
where you want to make the new definition?
Does it work? That's my question.
Where?
In the get area, for example, we make a new attribute called the area equals get length.
No, making an attribute area doesn't make sense. The area is not an attribute. Now, for example, if I tell you we have a shape of an area 55, rectangle of an area 55, do you know what are the length and the width? I can give you several combinations. صح ولا لا? So it's not an attribute. It's a it's a consequence, so it's a method, it's an operation. It's an operation that you do on the attributes. So it cannot be defined on attributes themselves. واضح ولا لا? Okay. Yeah, so today we have introduced the example of indirect inheritance. You can see now, for example, class circle. inherits also from shape, indirectly from two-dimensional shape. Is it clear? Okay, yes. So with this we have completed everything related to inheritance. So starting from the next lecture, we start doing some exercises and practicing around this. Okay. That's fine.